Welcome back to The Journey Unfolds. Today's date, July 7th, 2026. I've thought long and hard about what is the message that I'm meant to convey today? How can I teach? How can I serve? How can I show up for you? And I just got off a call this morning with someone that I just met who ended up being such a beautiful source of comfort and support and really held space for me as I was unpacking a lot of the challenges, the lessons, the things that have been coming up for me in the last year in my spiritual journey. And so the journey unfolds. The whole premise that we're here to do is understand what's happening here. How is this journey unfolding? What are we meant to learn? What are we meant to grow into? And I got very emotional. I realized that there's a real weight to a lot of the unlayering of all of the masks and all of the beliefs and all of the patterns and all of the things that I had put in place over time as a means to survive, as a means to pretend that I was okay. When actually, what I was doing was burying the real me beneath layer upon layer upon layer of so-called survival. And what I want to do today is step into some vulnerability and share openly and honestly about what it means to really step into obedience and to let God lead. Because I talked about this in previous episodes, but I really want to get away from this being, quote, the Katie show. And I really want to serve you. I want to support you. I want to inspire you and hopefully teach you. And maybe by the time you've watched these episodes, you'll walk away with something you didn't have before. I want to take you back in time. I want to take you back to seventh grade. And what happened to me at that very tender age of 12 years old is still with me today. I think the power of what I experienced needs to be brought up and shared because it's about healing. It's about hope. It's about the conviction and the faith and the realization that there's something so much bigger than us, something so much greater than us, something so beyond amazing that we can't even comprehend it. And it's really where my faith was born. So in seventh grade, we had a student come into our class to join us for the last part of the year who had been severely disfigured in a fire. And she was definitely very physically disfigured. And for me, at only 12 years old, I knew that my job was to not judge, to be loving, to accept all of those things, which I did. But what I didn't share in the outside world was that internally I was traumatized, absolutely traumatized, in the sense that seeing this person triggered a phobia. And that phobia is something I still live with today, but it's under control. And that was a phobia of fire. I went through a phase of life for at least a year, if not longer, where everything in my life became a nightmare. I was constantly thinking about it. I was constantly worrying about it. I was having nightmares. I felt like I was in a tunnel of darkness. It's something I cannot describe. If we fast forward to modern day, people recognize what that was. It was a form of mental health in uh, a phobia. It has a name now. But back then, it wasn't understood. This was 92, around there. And it really, I can't describe to you what it was like to feel such utter hopelessness. It just felt like nothing but darkness for me. People that loved me, they had good intentions, worrying about it isn't going to change it, just breathe, let it go, nothing bad's going to happen. Obviously, their intentions were good, but it was not addressing the core issue that was crippling me from the inside out. It was something I cannot even put into words in terms of what that felt like. If hell on earth existed, that might be what it is. And I was so young, right? I had no concept of what the heck was going on with me. I was nice enough to this girl. The girl wasn't the problem. The girl that had been disfigured was not the problem, but it set something off in my brain. Several months had gone by and I was starting to feel better. Like I thought, okay, maybe I'm okay. It wasn't gone, but it was manageable. And then I remember this is back in the day, we'd get National Geographic magazines in the mail every month, right? And I opened this one up and I got to a page and it was this picture of a guy who had been badly burnt in a fire. And it like showed photos of his journey from when it first happened to many surgeries later. I don't remember. All I know is the image threw me way back into that hole all over again. And I went through this like I couldn't shake it. I could not, quote, snap out of it. I couldn't do anything. My poor parents didn't know what to do with me. Tried getting me to the doctor to get some counseling, to get some help. Nothing was working. And it's pretty darn sad when you're 12, 13 years old and you're sitting there on the couch looking out at the view going, what would be the easiest and least painful way to die? I think back to that time of my life and I think, wow, that was a heavy thing to carry at such a young age. And I was crying. My dad came into the room and he happened to see me sitting there just crying. And he said, Kate, and that's what he always calls me is Kate. He says, have you ever thought to ask God for help with this? And I'll be honest with you, up until that point, we were churchgoers. But in my mind, God was this mean man in the sky that would throw lightning bolts at you anytime you did something bad. Like he was scary, right? And I think as a kid, I didn't want to think about God. It's too scary. In that moment, though, it was like a little bit of a crack opened and some light came in, and he said, here's the thing, you can pray for healing on this, but you absolutely need to believe that he'll answer you. You must believe it. Well, you can imagine at that age, I was at a point where it was like, do or die, right? And it didn't happen instantly, but I remember that day and that evening just being like, okay, God, if you're there, if you're real, help me because I don't want to live anymore. I see no hope. I see no light. I see no nothing. I just see darkness. And that was the reality that I was living in. Whew, it's painful to talk about. And, day by day, I think that the thickness of that darkness lightened. And within a week or two, we went up to the family cabin, which happens to be my favorite place. And we were out on the water in our little fishing boat. And I remember just leaning over the boat with my hand in the water was calm and it was sunny and it was sparkling. And I remember I had my fingers running through the water and just being overcome with a sense of peace, with a sense of healing, with a sense of hope, with a sense of it's going to be okay. And as time went on, I felt that more and more and more. And you could say that that time of my life, being that young, that impressionable, that vulnerable, I received a gift that to this day is so profound and life-changing that I want everyone to have it. I want everyone to have this gift because it is so beyond describable. And it's not something you could put on a table, and dissect it and explain the missing parts and explain how this is connected to that. So I know so many people struggle with understanding faith because it's not something that in our limitations as humans that it's easy to do. But I can tell you, it was planted in me and it has just grown. Of course, life brings in all kinds of things, good things, bad things. Sometimes you can feel more distant than others. And for me, I'm no exception. I have learned that that is my compass. That truly is the compass to my life. Everything from, finishing university and being prompted, led to go and live in a town where I wouldn't know a soul. I was 2 provinces away from my family, and I didn't understand. I just had this opportunity to have a job there, and I knew I had to do it. And not very long thereafter, I met my husband, who happened to also be in the community with his new job. So God is incredible. Faith is such a gift. And I pray that through this, shall we call it show, shall we call it platform, that you would also find this, Now, listen, this is so important to me. And this is something that keeps coming up for me over and over and over again. I'm not talking about you finding a specific church or a specific way of believing. I'm talking about a relationship with the divine, a relationship with the God that loves you, a relationship that is so outside the realm of day-to-day blandness, for lack of a better way to put it. It is just so extraordinary. Now, I wanted to set the tone for today's conversation by sharing that with you because the last year has been all about, again, pulling back all the layers that I had put in place, thinking that I was, I guess, protecting myself. And in fact, God had to strip it all away. And that has been a pain all its own that I'm still trying to grapple. I'm still trying to understand. I'm still trying to really step into living this way because it's so contrary to what might make sense to someone who doesn't understand faith. And one thing I shared with this person I spoke to this morning is that I so often feel incredibly alone, incredibly isolated. Not because the people around me don't love me, don't get me wrong on that. They do, absolutely. But because when it comes to faith and the conviction I have, and the fact that I use that as my compass, my guiding point, and that sometimes the choices that I make or the path that I'm on doesn't make sense to them. It seems crazy, in fact, sometimes. And that's hard because when you're living from a place of just sheer obedience and really trying to be in trust and surrender, and that's a muscle, by the way, that you have to work at and grow at. And I'm still working on it, trust me. But that brings me to where I am right now. So I joined the digital growth community on May 26th. And just before I did that, about a month before, I got a download, and God was like, I need you to repurpose your YouTube channel. I want you to share your story, and I want you to just trust me on this. So every week since, I've showed up and I've shared. And of course, I've sat with this and I've gone, I don't want this to be the Katie show. I almost think, am I being too egotistical? Which in fact is hilarious because everything about my last year has been about not doing that. And that I'm here because I was told to be here. And I'm sharing because someone needs to hear this. So I hope that you know that as I share this, everything that I'm experiencing, it's not for me that I'm sharing it. It's for you. So on May 26th, I signed up, and it's now July 7th. And I would have hoped, and this is just me being brutally honest here, completely transparent because I'm human and humans have all kinds of interesting things about them. But for me, I would have hoped that I would have made my investment into this back by now. Now, I also know that building a business takes time. I have one. It's taken me 15 years. And it's in a season right now of I'm not sure, not sure what I'm doing with it right at this very moment. And I'm okay with that because I know God knows. And He's just got me putting it on the shelf just for the moment, just for now, not going anywhere. Meanwhile, I'm meant to do this. And the two will come back together as partners as we move forward, right? And the thing that I have struggled with probably more than anything else is finances in terms of generating more than enough. I've always bought in just enough. I'm sure you know that feeling. It's like you're living paycheck to paycheck, but gosh, if that hot water tank blows, that's gonna hurt. That's the kind of lifestyle that we've lived for a long time. And it's not because we've wanted that, it's because of patterns of behaviors, it's because of beliefs, it's because of circumstance, it's all the things. And part of the stripping away for me was preparing me to know how to receive. Believe it or not, that's as important as being able to give because I'm a giver at heart. I will give all day long. But if I don't have the ability to receive and to be open, how can I be used properly? So that is the lesson I'm sitting in right now. But here's what comes up, and I want you to hear this because if you can relate to this, please comment below so that I don't think I'm crazy. Okay, I've already decided I'm crazy. It's fine. But there's this under the surface voice going, Am I broken? Is there something like on my forehead that says, no money, please stay away? Like what's going on? I'm just trying to be so honest here and transparent as if we're sitting across the table and I'm sharing with you. There's that feeling of, I'm not good enough for this. I'm not worthy. And those are old narratives and stories that I believe now in hindsight, all those layers I was hiding beneath so that that part didn't have to come out and be seen because it's very raw. But the truth is, here I am. Here I am. On July 7th, 2026, I invested 1,400 US dollars to become part of the Legacy Builders program. And I believe in it. And I have to tell you, I do love it. I have big dreams, big visions for it. And I'm only a little over a month in, and here I am beating myself up because I think I should have done better by now. That's the old narrative. That's the old story. That's the old programming that God just obliterated from me. It doesn't mean it's gone. It means that I'm learning how to be different. I'm learning how to respond differently. I'm learning how to really step back into that faith and not fall back by default into those patterns. So, what's great and what's exciting about where I am right now is that I'm refusing to let those beliefs, stories, anxieties, fears, doubts, they come up. Obviously, I can't do anything about that because I am human. However, I respond differently because God has been teaching me so intimately and deeply what trust actually looks like. And that, yeah, what am I willing to give up in order to embrace that trust? And that is, I'm giving up certainty. I'm giving up anything making any sense. I'm giving up the approval of others. The faith is so strong and life changing that I'm okay with the people that love me most not understanding me. It hurts, but that is okay because it's not that they don't love me. Faith is one of those things where once you experience it, and I'm not talking about intellectual, by the way, I just want to make that clear. We're not talking about this intellectual discussion here. We're talking about in the heart, like a complete heart transformation of this dwelling of Christ within you that just completely changes how you see the world and how you live in it. As you can see, it's not that easy for me to sit here and talk about a lot of this because I am getting so real and so raw and so vulnerable. But for years, those layers that were protecting me also taught me that I needed to prove myself. I needed to work harder. Oh, and I needed to fix myself because every time I found something broken, well, if you did another layer, guess what? There's another broken piece. And so ultimately, I was operating from a place of what is wrong with me? I need to find a solution. I need to find a strategy. I need to find a coach. I need to find a mentor. I need to find a program. I need to find always looking outside of myself for answers. Have you done that too? And the truth is, yes, all those things helped in some capacity. I don't want to say they don't. We do need others and we need other things sometimes. But when we come back to this place where God dwells within us, that is where clarity comes from. And if God is so much as saying, okay, I want you to invest in this because I have plans for you there, that comes from here and you do it and you're going to gain from it, obviously. It's not like there's nothing outside of here because God is all around us too, not just within. But the stripping that I've been through has been extremely gutting and painful. And I'm not sharing that, by the way, for pity. I want to be really clear about that. I'm sharing because I know that if I was hiding under all those layers, chances are you might be too. It's what we do. We think we need to survive. And so that brings me to where I am right now and why I'm sharing this. There's something called the middle, limbo. It's the place where you don't have an immediate answer. You don't have immediate income. You don't even have this shiny guarantee or success story to fall on currently because you're in a season of waiting. You're in a season of learning what it means to trust. But here's what's so cool about this, that while I'm in this season, I've been given the time and the space and the grace to unpack all of that excess that was weighing me down in this unbelievable amount of pressure freeing myself of that is taking time, and it's taking so much discernment and so much reflection and so much prayer. And meanwhile, when we're going through things like this, sometimes it's hard to produce the way we would normally produce. And as a result, the income hasn't been flowing in, you know? But this is how I know there's a God, because the timing is just absolutely exquisite. My husband just got a new job. There's been circumstances that have shifted and things are looking up. And so financially, we've been okay. I haven't had to panic and freak out and just be so consumed with fear and anxiety about not making it, not making enough. And that's been such a gift. And it's not that I don't still have those feelings of anxiety, because I do, but it's also recognizing that why would I worry about all of that when my source is God Himself? He oversees all of it. He will absolutely give us everything we need. And right now, the focus needs to be, how do I trust God more so that I can show up more powerfully for Him? And in this season, it's, Katie, can you really trust God when you don't see the evidence? When you've just invested some more money into something, there's no guarantee that it's going to work, but you're just holding on to that faith that it will, because the vision of what you want to create with it is so big and beautiful and clearly divinely inspired. But you've got to be okay with not knowing. And oh my goodness, sure, I'll be okay with not knowing, but that doesn't mean I like it. It doesn't mean I want to be here forever. It means, come on, God, give me something here. Give me some rope. Show me what's next. So the question becomes, can I wait without scrambling? Can I wait without defaulting back to patterns of anxiety and fear and, oh my God, I better go and get a job right now? Those are all so pressure induced. And that's not how we are designed to live. It's literally not. We're meant to live in ease and flow, at least in the perspective. I'm not saying we don't work hard. I'm not saying, that things are going to be easy. I meant ease and flow, as in you're doing what you were put here to do. You're in the flow of it. Challenges included, pain included, but it's not so restrictive, like you're in a box and you can't breathe, which is really what I found myself in a year ago. And even coming up into 2026, I was suffocating, but I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know what to do. And I know that as much as I didn't want to be stripped away, it's exactly what I needed. So when we move out of ego, those parts of ourselves that thinks we're in control and we want to prove ourselves and we want to show the world that, damn it, I could do it, that calls for proof. You need to prove, you need timelines, you need to be in control, you need some credit for it, you need validation. And the ego in me, when it kind of sneaks in the back door, it's like, you should be further ahead by now. What is wrong with you? But obedience says, stay, stay. I promise you, what's to come is beautiful, but you need to stay in order to see it come to fruition. Even the Legacy Builders program itself, it challenged my ego because it meant promoting something that I didn't create. I mean, hello, I'm supposed to be the hero. I'm supposed to be the one that creates the thing that just blah, 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 so that I can get the accolades and the validation, the praise, all that crap. And the reality is, I had to ask myself, am I more committed to looking successful, or am I committed to being obedient? Because when you're obedient, it's like God can actually use you in a way that fits with who you are. Because, hello, He's your creator. He made you. He knows what you're meant to do. He knows what you're gifted at. He knows what the mission is. He knows what your calling is. Hello. Like, I have to remind myself of this so often. But what I found when I joined the Legacy Builders program is I found a community there, a place where I can go. If my mindset is in the toilet, I can go in there and just ask for someone to help pull me out, because it happens, especially when those fears and anxieties and doubts and old default patterns are coming back. But there's tools, and it's such a powerful ecosystem the way it's set up. And I'm not telling you all of this to Go check it out, go buy right now because it's not for everyone. If it is for you, do go check it out because it is incredible, but it's not for everyone. I'm also not interested in manufacturing some story about how you're going to be a millionaire overnight. Look at me. I've been in there for a month. And even just one sale, please, God, anytime, anytime now. I know it's coming though. I mean, I know it down here. My brain, like it's the difference between your head and your heart, right? Your heart knows. There's a calm knowing. It knows. But your brain is like, what if, what if, what if? And I choose here. I choose the place where God lives down here. What am I learning in all of this that I really want to be able to teach you too? I'm learning that circumstances are not your identity. If you're finding that you're living paycheck to paycheck and you can't seem to get ahead of the curve, it doesn't mean anything about you. I say this because I most needed to hear it. And you need to stop assuming that every struggle that you have means that there's something wrong with you. And that's the big beef I have right now with the coaching industry in general is you need to mindset your way. You need to manifest your way. And if you're not doing that, something's wrong with you. You got to go and clean up your act so that you can make things better. That said, I get it. We all have work to do to step into our leadership, to improve who we are, to overcome the things that have held us back, to do the work. Absolutely. But at an identity level, if you're not doing what God calls you into because you are stuck on the narratives that you've believed for so long, please stop internalizing that and making it mean that you're broken. It just means, okay, what is my next level? How do I rise above this? But more importantly, how do I let God lead me on this? Because your compass is going to win every time. The map is useless to you if you don't have a compass. And sometimes, at least for me, and I hope this could be true for you, is sometimes that God is literally just putting us through these seasons to release, to let go, release the weight of it all, the pressure, the impossible standards that just make you feel like you're shrinking. And waiting makes me think of that saying, Lord, give me patience, but give it to me now. It's like, okay, I've been waiting. Hello. And I always know, and you would too, that it's always hindsight 2020. When you look back at things, you realize, oh, that makes sense. I know why I had to wait in that season. I can see now what that was about. And so, what I'm learning right here, right now, in the middle, where there's no guarantees and there's what I'm leaving behind and what I'm stepping into, I'm in that in between. And what I'm learning about it is that something is being built inside of me in order for me to steward what comes next. In order for me to do what I'm being called into, there's some preparation going on. And that's the part that I think we can forget very easily is like, I just want the pain to end. I just want to get there. Like, are we there yet? And I'm learning that I can just let God be God without demanding the itinerary, without demanding the roadmap, without demanding that I know it all. Ugh, faith. I tell ya, it is such a gift, but it isn't easy. And I think when you can learn to embrace that in your life, the riches that come from that are just something to behold. It's so extraordinary. So I want to bring all of this to a close. I want you to understand, I want you to know that while I have some keynotes in front of me to kind of keep me on track, this is not scripted. This is not me just trying to sound impressive. It's me literally opening up my heart, my life, my world, and saying, I see you. And I hope that as I step into more of this work and really hold space and show people what's possible, I hope that it lands for you. I hope that it opens the door for you. I hope that it opens that little crack so the light can come in for you. And I'm recording this today before the breakthrough happens. And I'm doing that on purpose because we get so caught up in the success stories that we don't acknowledge the importance of the preparation phase, the in between, the middle, the messy middle, the emotional middle, the uncomfortable, that place where faith is no longer an intellectual concept, but becomes a verb that you have to put to work every 5 minutes sometimes. Wait, every 60 seconds. Wait, every 10 seconds. Over and over and over and over again. Because here's the thing, maybe the invitation, whatever you're going through in your life to move forward, is not to work harder. Maybe it's not to personal development harder and make yourself better harder. Maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's just letting go and just being okay with the healing. Because healing, the only thing that can allow for healing is acknowledging the pain that needs healing in the first place. Acknowledging that you're human, acknowledging that you need God, that you need something so much bigger than what this world, this tangible 3D world can give you. Maybe it's about letting go of your ego. And I'm not preaching from the pulpit here. I'm talking firsthand experience. It's about putting down your ego, loosening your grip, and asking the question, God, what does obedience look like in my life? What does it look like for me to surrender to you? And I want to just real quick challenge you. If you're thinking of the word obedience as in, a kid that needs to follow the rules, that can't have fun, that just, I want to challenge you to step away from that line of thinking. Think of obedience as the parameters, the grace, the space, the way by which God can help you become more you. Because if you think about a child, without obedience, how did we ever become adults? How did we ever step into ourselves? We need the obedience. We need parameters. We need guidance. And most importantly, that is obedience built in love. If you had not such a great childhood and there's issues there, I'm deeply sorry. And I want you to remember when I'm talking about obedience, I'm talking about it from love, from God, from something so much bigger than you that actually knows you better than you know yourself. That's powerful. Imagine being in a bubble of obedience with someone that knows you better than yourself because only good can come from that. And I'm not saying no pain, no challenge, no nothing. I'm saying good in the sense of utter fulfillment, utter joy, utter meaning in your life. So, what does obedience look like in your life? And before I go, I want you to know I'm still in it. I'm still in it. And I'm going to keep showing up every week, even being in it. And even having those questions of like, so maybe now? How about now? How about now? And God's like, be patient. I got you. And I'm like, okay, prove it. No, I'm learning. And I hope you understand that as much as I would love to say I'm a saint when it comes to faith. No, I'm still on that struggle bus. But the difference is I'm staying in it. I'm staying in it and I'm letting God use me as God wants to use me. Thank you so, so much for watching today. Subscribe so that you can get the updates for the coming weeks. And I'll see you next week on The Journey Unfolds.